The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Floating high in an Italian sky, looking down at Autodromo Internazionale Enzo E. Dino Ferrari, my goodness, or more simply, Imola, which today plays host to round 9 of a scheduled 15 for the IDA GT3 series, and you'll be able to watch all the action from green flag to victory donuts live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing channel. This streamy award-worthy 15-minute pre-race show will count down to the green flag when our field of Mercedes, BMWs, Audis, McLarens, and Fords start the racing in the first of this super sprint triple header format. So bring cyberspace into your place, make yourself a bologna sandwich, pour yourself a blood orange San Pellegrino soft drink, put your feet up on the recliner, and enjoy the triple header simulated road course excitement that will be streaming your way. Buongiorno everyone, and welcome to another GSRC broadcast. I'm your host, Bill Soupzon. Helping me call the action is the host of A Pretty American's Guide to This Weekend in Motorsports, Samuel Ryman. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is the hardest working man in sim racing show business, Joe Peak, and at his disposal the camera locations provided by Dougie Beard. This broadcast is made possible thanks to the good folks at The Screwed Gamers, Kart Action Media, and Zanardi Course Australia. And to keep things interesting, 500 Aussie dollars float in the prize pool. Now, hopefully you were with us last time from Motegi for the double-header, double-point sprint format. In the day race, Gary Spinal Slice Hamilton in his Dynamic Sim Racing 2 Ford outdueled the McLaren of his Dynamic Sim Racing 1 cousin Joe Peacenik to lead into the first corner. Peacenik did his best to stay with Hamilton until a mistake saw his McLaren nose into the inside wall, ending any hopes of a daytime victory. Hamilton went on to claim the wire-to-wire checker flag, but the racing was only half over. The night race saw the top 10 qualifiers inverted, with his headlights showing the way. Riley Blythe braved his way inside the pole center Clint Smith to take the early lead. Blythe's time out in front was short-lived because on lap 2, while going under the overpass, Scott Tamlin maneuvered his way to the front. Tamlin did his best to hold off Zachary Hamlin, but with time running out, Hamlin elbowed his way inside of Tamlin to move to the lead, and he held it all the way to the checkered flag. But what about now, you're going to ask? Sam, we've come to know these drivers pretty well and sure knew all about Motegi, but new to iRacing service is Imola. Tell the viewers, and honestly me, what this place has in store.
Well, this place is quite well renowned, Bill. It used to be a Grand Prix course, a San Marino Grand Prix for Formula One. And Imola, for fans who know it, is actually quite a popular circuit, despite its tainted history, obviously, in the sport of Formula One and other sports. It has seen some pretty memorable mishaps here, some of which, of course, were very unfortunate. But it does lead to good racing, despite the fact that the incidents have added chicanes around here. Now, has that good racing transitioned over to iRacing? We're going to find out tonight. And my guess would be yes. It leads itself to overtaking opportunities, despite the fact that you never really get to open the car up much. There's not a whole lot of long straights around here. Now, there are 15 turns in total around 17 turns in total around this course, and it is only a little over 3 miles in length. It's actually quite a short circuit, but still it's taken almost 2 minutes, 1 minute 39 currently, the fastest qualifying time. It's taken these drivers that long to get around here. So basically, as you'll see in our lap guide, we start off with 2 wide open chicanes, then you go into the middle portion of the track. It hasn't changed much over the years, and then actually once you come out of that double left hand at the end of the circuit, which used to be the penultimate complex. Now you kind of straight line it to the line, and then you go back into the first chicane. To find out exactly what I'm talking about, let's show it to you yourself with our GSRC lap guide.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Imola. As we straight line the kinks along the front stretch, you're going to be sizing up your braking point into Tamburello. There's a difficult bend right where you want to slow the car up, so be careful not to clip the outside grass. Then, at the chicane, don't let the car swing too wide at the second apex. Ideally, you want control and the ability to give a little room to make that final kink flat out. From there, we approach Villeneuve, which is tempting to take faster on its more open first apex. But just like most chicanes, setting up the second half will pay off more and keep drivers from having to go at you into the next corner. It's a short stretch before we climb around Tosa. Turning in too early will hurt your exit, and you'll want all the speed you can up this huge hill. Remember, no matter how much power a car has, momentum is your friend when fighting gravity. You've got a nice blind crest just as the track bends, but it doesn't really affect the BMW. Just hold right for Piratella and try not to miss the apex like Amjad does here. It's easy in just about any car to slip wide. Now it's back downhill and into Aqua Minerale. You're going to be braking through the first corner to line up the second apex, and as you come off of it, try not to use too much of the AstroTurf on the outside. A slowdown penalty will be waiting for anyone getting greedy. Back out of the valley, get cozy up to the left alongside the trees and throw out the anchors for the Alta chicane. These curbs can easily upset the car, so try to keep the tires planted for better traction. Also, that fake grass on the right doesn't give good grip, so be wary of gassing it too eagerly. From there, the track is going to weave and drop elevation one final time. Ravazza really invites drivers to overdrive it on entry, and it's not uncommon to see them slide into the gravel on the short stretch. Obviously, the second corner is much more important here because we're dumped back onto the pit straight. Fail to get a good run, and you're going to be driving defensively all the way to Tamburello. Hopefully, that won't be a problem because as we come to the line, we've finished a lap around Imola.
Another nice job from Joe Peak describing an Amjad Yaman lap around Imola. Now let's keep going as we look at the Drivers' Championship. You know, you put a double points race near the back half of the schedule and drop race insurance is hard to come by. And what do you get? Well, a big shakeup in the points. Sure, Richard Hampstead remains in front, but Green Eggs missed the doubleheader and his lead shrunk considerably. Simon Fagel continues to hover without much fanfare in second. Up a spot is John Piesnik. Now, Gary Hamilton was late to the series, but has climbed his way onto the top 5 chart finally. And the green machine of Justin Strickland has had its struggles of late, and Stricky drops 2 spots into 5th. Let's go over and look at the team championship to the best of our ability as there continues to be changes in the lineups, but here's what we think it is in the team championship to the best that we know. Now, we told you that Richard Hampstead in the driver championship that his lead has shrunk. Well, when you're a solo driver in a 2-driver team championship, there is no room for error. So Team TTL1 drops 4 spots out of the lead, now down to 5th. Good results for Piesnik and Tamlin moved Dynamic Sim Racing 1 up 3 spots, and they're now our new leaders. Chasing them up the chart, and only 55 points back, is Evolution Racing Aussie 3, manned by Hanlon and Blythe. Now, Jackson Freer and Samuel Salty Morton have Lick Motorsports in 3rd. Nobody dares mess with Apex Mafia with Martin Slavasi and Mark Simon there. Now, moving on, we're going to go to Sam now. We've reviewed the race, we've talked about the track, we've shown the driver and team championship, but we're going to keep going because the iRacing Driver Association is famous for its unique events. Today, it's something called the Super Sprint. What are the details on the format here?
Oh, it is a very interesting one, Bill. And first it might fly over everyone's heads, but once you let us explain it a little bit, it actually begins to make a bit of sense. Now, you'll see there's five different cars racing in the series. However, not all of them are evenly represented across the board. The car that the drivers pick at the start of a season is a car they have to drive all year. There's very few, if any, BMWs out there. And then very few McLarens and Fords. I think Audis and Mercedes have proven quite popular. Open setup. The drivers can do whatever they want. And fuel is no restrictions today, and that's because the longest race we're going to have will be about 18 laps in length. You don't really need a lot of fuel to get around this tiny track 18 times. Fast repairs aren't on. Incident cap though is 31. That probably means in the 15-minute race you're going to get away with being a bit aggressive, and weather will be dynamic. It'll be a bit different for all 3 sessions today. All 3 sessions, what are we talking about? Well, it's a triple header, and for this first race with a track temperature of 81 degrees, it's going to be a 15-minute race where the results set up the starting grid for the second heat race, and then that'll be a 15-minute race, and the results from that will set up the starting grid for the race that actually counts in points, and that will be the 30-minute finale we will get at the end of the afternoon. Now, that all sounds a bit complicated, Bill, but you had a good way of explaining it before we went to air. It's almost like in NASCAR, when you know there's going to be a competition caution. Think of it as like an hour-long race. After minute 15, there's going to be a checkered flag, and they're going to line up and then start the second race in the order that they completed the first 15 minutes. They're going to do another 15-minute race, take the checkered flag, line up for the final half hour in the order that they finish the second 15 minutes, and then they're going to have a 30-minute race where the final checkered flag will determine how many points you get, where you finish overall, where the record books will say you finished. So it's going to be a very interesting one, Bill. These 15-minute races should be about 9 laps long. The 30-minute race should be about 18 laps long. So those drivers starting at the back are going to want to get a move on.
And we'll talk about some of the drivers starting at the back there. They have to be a little careful because even though there's honestly, the graphics people, which I must admit who it is, I think it was me, made a mistake on this. I believe the incident cap is a whopping 46 points. So if that comes into play when the longest you're going to be racing is 20 minutes, not only should you be disqualified, they should come over to your house and I don't know, do something to it. But let's talk about there are some penalty points that are given out this time. And Sam, if you have that in front of you, you want to talk about the guys who picked up some points last week?
Well, we've got a graphic here explaining how these penalty points work. If you exceed 15 incident points in the race, so say we can go up to 41, you will get 10 actual points deducted, which won't help you out a lot in the point standings. That happened to Dylan Shepard and Zachary Hamlin coming out of Motegi, causing an avoidable incident. That's a no-no. And Gary Hamilton, also 15 incident points. So there's a problem. We had 2 race winners in Motegi, Gary Hamilton and Zachary Hamlin, but they lost some points. Zachary Hamlin lost 10, Gary Hamilton lost 15.
So hopefully today they will be able to get through nice and clean without anybody picking up any points. But so far that has been the case, as everyone seems to get their hands slapped a little bit at the end of each race. Again, this is round 9 in a 15 race series, so we're well past halfway. And we're getting very close to qualifying wrapping up. So if you think, Director, we can go ahead and do that right now, or do you want to wait just a little bit longer? We're going to wait till the checkers come out. So we have some new names here today. Every so often they have what they call a wild card race where they let in some new drivers. I see some names in here that I'm not familiar with, but one of them that catches my eye is at the top of the chart, and that's Damian McPhee, sitting up there 3rd in qualifying right now. Another one, Luis Paulo, and then I'm going to go with Gallon as the last name, Gallon. I'm sure it's not Gallon because that would just not make sense. I'm going to go with Gallon there. So a couple new names coming in here. Joshua Rogers, another name that we haven't seen before. Andrew Gillian. So they let these newcomers, these wild cards, come in. And then they see how they race. And if they're nice guys and they get along well and they like the series, they invite them back. So maybe they'll be full-time drivers. Finish out the back half of this series. Hey, and talk about the IDA, the iRacing Drivers Association. They run a sister series the same time every week. Wednesday, whatever time it is around the globe for you. It is the Formula Renault. I like to call it the Formula Renault, but I get yelled at for that. So I'm going to have to go with Formula Renault series, and that is every other Wednesday. And next week will be right here at this track. They'll race the open wheelers here, and most of these guys will be racing in that one. So if you want another great series to watch, come on back next week for that one. Okay, qualifying is done. The checker flag is out now, I believe.
Yeah, we still have cars on track finishing up their laps, so they got 1 minute to get around, but granted they've had a full 30 minutes, so unless you've just been dilly-dallying around for the first 25 minutes, and some drivers may have, you shouldn't see a whole lot of improvements here at the line.
So, okay, let's go ahead. We'll call up the graphics here because we're not quite sure. Honestly, we haven't done one here before. We don't know how long the pace lap is, and we don't want to have to rush through this. So, Sammy, I'll take this a row at a time. You get the second row. On the pole, it's nice to see that McLaren up there. It's John Pasnick on the pole. On the outside of him, Mr. Excitement, Zachary Hanlon in the 2 spot. Sam?
Yeah, and then Damien McPhee, relatively new name to the series, lined up alongside Marcelo Rivera, will be the ones challenging him there from 3rd and 4th.
Benjamin Smith on the inside of row 3, and then Luis Paulo Galon on the outside.
Gary Hamilton, if he wants to repeat what he did last time out, he's going to have to do it from 7th. Riley Blythe lined up alongside him.
Apparently, Richard Green Eggs and Hampstead is not a fan of spaghetti or wine as he sits way down the field in 9th position. Simon Fagel right outside him in 10th.
Just outside the top 10, we had Joshua Rogers, who joined the session during qualifying, lined up alongside Justin Strickland.
Phillips Morton in the 13th position and Stuart Hall outside of that.
Then behind them, one of the league organisers, Clint Smith, lined up alongside Andrew Gilliam.
Mark Rayner in the 17th spot. Martin Slavasi in 18th.
David Jevons and Jared Tyman round out the top 20.
Nice big field here today as we continue down. In the blackjack position is Grant Hines, Warren Pickering in the double-do spot.
Aaron Farmer and Jackson Freer are on row 12.
TJ, don't call him JT Brown in the quarter century mark, and Matt Simon in 26th.
Looks like Mark Simon to me, but Jeremiah Morton and Phil Gadd are lined up alongside them, and rounding out the field is Philip Wallace. I'm looking at the field getting gridded up here, Bill. I think that is coming out of... Oh, I don't actually know how to read the track map. I think that's coming out of turn 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at there too. So they're going to start on basically the back half of the track. This work through one chicane, go down the straight, that little 13. You know, Sam, you talked about there being, you said there's 15 corners and you corrected yourself for 17 corners. Honestly, they are very generous what they call a corner on here. 16, 17, 13 are all very much just kind of just little dogleg bends that I think most any vehicle would take at a top speed.
Yeah, this is actually coming out of turn 11 and 12, the Alta chicane. This is a run down towards the double left-hander. Now, this double left-hander complex, Soup, used to be really the penultimate complex. After that, you would have 2 chicanes, and then after Rubens Barrichello had his nasty crash in 1994, they took it down to 1 chicane. But now, all of a sudden, this double left-hander at the end here actually ends the lap. So that means I think we're going to see a lot of aggressive passes going on down the inside, down the hill here on the left-hand side. We'll wait and see, though. The field is rolling. We're about to find out.
What's interesting is your points leaders. We went through there. We talked about Richard Hampstead and Simon Fagel. Those guys are 1, 2 in the points. They start back in 9th and 10th right now. We'll see if it's just a matter of them not getting the practice time in or if they just aren't comfortable here at Italy. All right, they are now on the main straight. They're going to work their way past pit entrance. Keep an eye on that beautiful multicolored, at least for me right now, is that Element Racing multicolored McLaren back up in front. That's John Pesnick, and he's going to pace these guys down. Going to pass the grid right now. Should be any second until then there's the green flag. Now there we go. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows because the horses are out of the barn. Pesnick on the inside is going to be able to control that preferred position and leads the Stampede of Cards down into turn 1. Hanlon ducks in second. McPhee behind him. There's a newcomer, Marcelo Rivera. There's a name we know. Nice to see him back running in 4th. And then the other new guy is Galone running in 5th.
Wow, that was scary in that first chicane. They were all running side by side, and we do have a couple of beat up cars at the back, but the leaders got through it without incident. That could have been very ugly, and we do have one car off course in the middle of track, Philip Morton, and now he's stuck in the middle of a 3 wide, going fender to fender with Mark Reiner, who has to go off track. Very wild in the middle of the pack right now.
Reiner got the worst of that as they are going by him quickly as he is losing positions. Meanwhile, everything clean up front, except for that little problem that happened to Reiner. Everybody looking good. Still the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 staying in position. A lot of new names up there. Peacenik out in front, Handlin, those are names we're familiar with. But here comes Damian McPhee. Don't know much about him, but I'm learning that he's pretty fast.
Yeah, and Marcelo Rivera is way off course.
Rivera, yeah, he just missed the chicane altogether, so he's certainly going to get a slowdown penalty. He was running about in 5th. Now McPhee gets by him, Gallone gets by him, Hamilton gets by him. Look at Hamilton making a run. Rivera dropping down to 7th. He's still trying to pay that black flag. Now they're benching up behind him. That's almost getting into that. That's Richard Hampstead in there. And there's that yellow car, the kind of yellow-green car there getting in trouble. That was Gallone having trouble as well.
Oh, way off the pace there. Marcelo Rivera again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what happened is he picked up that slowdown penalty on the first lap before iRacing really knows what to cost you. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, did you just see that 3 wide on screen between Simon Figo, Joshua Rogers and Luis Gallon? Somehow they all filtered it out. Well, that changes the order up front a bit. Give you a quick update on the back. TJ Brown got the most significant damage on the opening lap, and Benjamin Smith start from the pits. Back up front.
Philip Morton. Now that's not Jeremiah Morton. That's a new Morton. Just put the car in the wall. Looks like he might have. Looks like he just got clipped. That's that green McLaren that we know so well. Justin Strickland kind of pushed him over. There you see McLaren on the outside as he comes around here. Not sure if the McLaren of Strickland got loose, but they made contact, and welcome to the series.
Battle Morton. 5th. The battle for 5th is still wild. They were 2 by 2 going down to the bottom of a hill. Riley Blythe paid the price, lost about 3 positions. He's going to try and come back on Joshua Rogers and try and get one of those back. Does a nice job if he's able to pull it off. It looks like you're allowed to abuse the track limits here without iRacing saying too much, so he uses that to pick up a spot.
And let's go, as we talked about that battle for 5th, Richard Hampstead, now that's your point leader, started in 9th position. Remember we talked about him being back there. He has picked up 4 spots already. Well, I guess he's currently running, 4 spots. 9 minus 5 is 4.
Zachary Hanlin was running in 2nd. He must have got slowed down at some point. He just dropped back on the main straight, dropped back to 4th place. This moves Damian McPhee up into 2nd, Gary Hamilton up into 3rd, but they are far, far, far behind John Peisnick, our race leader right now.
But again, the distance...
Oh, big off. Oh, big crash. Yep. Louise Garland and... There was one car had completely overshot the chicane. It took my attention away, and then there was a collision.
He was the lucky one of it,
He saw the future coming. Who is it, though? One of the cars around them just completely overshoots the chicane.
See if I can find it here and we talk about it.
Yeah, you see there's a crash there happening at the bottom of your screen, and then at the top of your screen it looks like a car got loose on entry and overcorrected, and that's why it went off.
We watch on board right now, we're riding with Gayan.
Meanwhile, Joshua Rogers fans, he's had a bad lap. He started it in 7th, he's dropped back to 17th.
And there goes Gayan into the wall. That's another newcomer having to pay his dues. Good news is, bad news is he's out of this race. Good news is he'll be able to come back with a nice clean car to start the late race.
Good battle for 2nd shaping up now. John Peisnick absolutely dominating, but Damian McPhee is being run down by Gary Hamilton. And this is only lap 4 of what we expect to be a 9-lap race. Meanwhile, I think there's big trouble in the middle of the field.
It looked like Jackson Freer got loose. Is that current? Yep, Jackson Freer just spun it right in front of Mark Rayner. That was back in...
Yeah, Mark Simon is off, and a lot of cars just came into the pits. Philip Morton is missing the front end of his machine.
Yep, Simon spun it in front of a few cars there, in front of Wallace and Farmer. Then we have some guys coming into the pits. Look like Clint Shane Smith is coming in, and also Martin Slavasi coming in looking to get some repair. Actually, it's probably not going to mean much for them. They'll be at the back, and this race is going to be over probably by the time they get back out.
This is very interesting. This is a very interesting thing that we're seeing go on here, Bill. All of these drivers not only are learning the limits of the track in their first race, for many of them it's their first race at the circuit on iRacing, but they're working how much you can push those limits. I think the track limits, the way these drivers are getting penalties, has actually created to a lot of mixing up of a field here in this short sprint race, and that is leading to the amount of action and incidents we've seen in the opening moments here.
Yeah, not typical for the series. A little bit messy here so far. Let's take a quick second. We'll try to run down the top 10. I'm going to do it pretty quick because I think action's going to break out. John Peacenik out in front. He's got quite a distance, but no big deal there. Now Hamilton running in, oh sorry, it's McPhee running in second position.
Not for long.
And here comes Hamilton. There goes Spiral Slice working on the inside, gets that done. Look, a lot of new paint schemes out there today. Spiral Slice moves that. I'm assuming that's a Ford. That's what he usually races. Boy, he's really talk about pushing the envelopes. There you go, Sam. There's a case of it right there.
And notice also this track is very dusty offline. If you put a couple wheels over the curbs, it kicks up a lot of dust around here.
Okay, we saw the pass for second. Let's keep going here. Zachary Hanlon running in fourth position. Richard Hampstead all the way up from ninth to fifth now. Probably he's going to be happy to be fifth by the time this is over. Then you get back to Riley Brythe running in sixth. Marcelo Rivera, after that costly first lap slowdown penalty, running in seventh. Right behind him, second to the point, Simon Fagel. Rounding out your top 10, that green McLaren of Justin Strickland. And then Stuart Hall, another new name in the top 10. Beginning to settle down a little bit here, Sam. Go ahead.
Yeah, and while it's settled down, let's put the camera on the car running in 20th position, actually. He was 17th. He must have had an off earlier this lap. Philip Wallace. It's a BMW.
Hey. I think we have one. That's one BMW, one Ford, and a few splatterings of McLarens.
Meanwhile,
go ahead.
It was Zachary Hanlon in fourth was actually ran down Damien McPhee in third here.
Yeah, Hanlon's fast. I think he had that incident where he had to give up those spots, and he's going to try to get them back. Now, remember, though, they're going to line them all up again here in a second. 6 minutes to go, 6.5 minutes to go. Then they'll line them all back up where they are. Basically, I think my strategy would be just try to, if I start third or fourth, just try to come out of the race in third and fourth. What you don't want to do is have a big incident that puts you back behind.
Riley Blythe just took sixth position from Marcelo Rivera, but kind of took that first chicane a little too hot, and Rivera will have the opportunity to counter-attack coming into the second chicane if he wants to. He doesn't take it. He's got Figueroa, his teammate, right behind him there.
Let's go back quickly. Let's put the camera on Benjamin Smith. He started in fifth position. Right now he's running in 18th, and boy, he is struggling. Losing spots left and right as Mark Raynard gets around him. He's now dropped back to 19th spot. And Sam, that's what we were kind of talking about. You want to try to avoid this situation where you ruin your qualifying. Now he's going to have to start the next race well in the back, but he will have a nice fresh car.
Of course, one thing that's the sad reality of iRacing that we're going to see is not all 29 cars who started this race will be in the next race. So you might, even if you have a bad race, if you just join up for the next session, you could end up qualifying in the top 25. Of course, it would be nice for them to all prove me wrong and thus have a full field for the second heat race. Remember, this isn't even qualifying for the main event right now. The other thing that's very interesting to look at, Bill, is because it's such a short race, those cars with damage at the back of the field are still out there running on course because they realise that it's not worth it. Coming into the pits, losing all that time to get repairs, just keep trucking along.
Yeah, and hope somebody else gets damaged in front of you. With about 4.5 to go, we're going to spend some time up here with probably the best battle going on right now. That's Hamilton in second, McPhee in third, and then coming back after that early problem, Zachary Hanlon's. Hanlon's always fun to watch because if you can't find room, sometimes he likes to make room. Let's see if he teaches Damien a little lesson here. Damien running in between the two drivers. Hamlin in front, the two veterans in front of him, Hamlin and Hanlon.
Stuart Hall just ran off in the first chicane from 12th place, and that cost him 2 positions.
So we ride on board. Now we look at a beautiful paint scheme there for McPhee, kind of a psychedelic striped black and white car. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but it's making me dizzy.
I kinda like this track so far, Bill. I enjoy it as a spectator. I don't know how I'll feel when I get down there as a driver.
What I haven't gotten a feel with, because it's been so messy, is really where the passing zones are. We haven't really seen much, really a clean pass on the track yet. Just a few. Mostly it's been by drivers making mistakes. So maybe we can get an idea of what's going on right now as that Ford up in front of Hamlin is being challenged behind.
Yeah, let's do a look around here on the first lap, Bill. We've one lap following these drivers. We've seen a lot of drivers attempt an overtaking pass coming into this first chicane. It doesn't always work out, but though this is a Tamburello low chicane, and actually McPhee has a good run on Hamilton here. But I think, meanwhile, I think we got Gilliam and Jennings off. Oh,
he had a real good run on him, so good that he had to back it out and move it out of the way. He did a great job of not slamming into the back of Hamilton. Got to give McPhee credit for not taking out his competitor. We'll watch this on board as we ride on board. Watch the closing right here, Sam.
Yeah, and what I was mentioning about Gilliam and Jennings, they had an incident about the same time coming out of the final turn. But yeah, McPhee just gets a good run and didn't work for him.
He did. I guess he could have turned it left and slammed, kind of pancaked into Hamilton. He turned it right, took it in the sand. The good news is he's still out there, and he only dropped running in fourth, so he really only lost 1 position now. He's got Richard Hampstead behind him.
Ooh, Hamlin goes off. Oh!
And the Ford has spun.
Yeah, so Hamlin went off, but Hamilton spun, and Hamlin actually comes off it better and takes second place away.
Hamilton gets it back out in 5th. Yeah, we'll watch the replay. As you see on above, that's Hamilton out in front and Hamlin behind him.
And now this gives us a new battle for 3rd, because Damien McPhee has gotten back on in what is now 3rd place, and he's right ahead of Richard Hampstead in 4th.
Both those drivers spun. They didn't. I thought it might be a case of target fixation, but it wasn't. They spun in different areas, so... Again, not the worst thing that could happen to them. As long as they're able to keep close to where they were, they'll get that similar qualifying or griding spot when the next race starts.
I think we're on the final lap now, Bill.
And that is John Piesnick out in front. He's had a nice wire-to-wire victory here today in this morning heat. Hanlon running in second. McPhee's had some excitement. Back to 3rd. That's where he was before he took his trip through the beach. Hampstead all the way up to 4th. He came up from 9th. So all the big names up where they thought they were.
Yeah, and they did it simply by keeping out of trouble.
The driver we'll want to watch for is Benjamin Smith. He qualified 5th and had trouble. He'll be starting well back in the second heat. But meanwhile, John Piesnick having a nice little Piesnick trip around. Working on the back half of the track right now. Coming up, I believe this is going to be in through 11 and 12. Just a few more corners to negotiate. He's got this little right-hand bender. They call it a 13. It's really not a corner at all. Then you get down to 14 and 15.
Oh, all those incidents, he actually has lap traffic ahead of him.
Through what they call Ravassa there, that little two-turn combination. Another little bend here, 16. And your winner of heat number 1, the morning heat, John Piesnick. Let's see if we can find any other battles for position.
Yeah. For 5th, Gary Hamilton ahead of Simon Fiegel. Fiegel could have stuck it in there in really what we consider the final turn, but he chose not to and settles for 6th place. Those two will start alongside each other for the race 2.
Marcelo Rivera ahead of Riley Blythe coming across.
Battle for 20th with our BMW driver, Philip Wallace. This is another good overtaking opportunity down the bottom of a hill here into this penultimate left-hander. That's Philip Morton on the inside of him, and Wallace gets loose, and that's going to cost him.
Yeah, Wallace on the outside trying to make it work in that BMW, not going to get it done. Philip Morton coming across, going to finish in 20th. Wallace going to start that BMW from the blackjack position of the next heat. Any more cars still on the lead lap? A few more cars to come across. Not a real battle going on. Everybody looks to be pretty comfortable in there. Jeremiah Morton a little farther down than we're used to seeing him. Hopefully one of those Mortons will come in. We'll get an idea if there's any relationship between the two of them. TJ Brown coming across in 24th. Martin Slavasi a little far back than we're usual to see him. Last car on the lead lap, Phil Gadd bringing it in 26th.
Yeah, well, these are all drivers that had encountered incidents at some points during the day. Let's be frank with you, we couldn't get all of those incidents on camera. This concerns me, Bill, for the main event, that such a short lap around here and such an action-packed track. I think during the main event, the leaders will have to negotiate lap traffic.
Before we go to break, we will show you the complete rundown right now. We'll go through it pretty quick as we covered most of them there through closing. If we can, we're going to look John Piesnick as your winner, Zachary Hanlon, Damian McPhee, Richard Hampstead, Gary Hamilton, Simon Fagel, Marcelo Rivera, Riley Blythe, and Justin Strickland. Joshua Rogers rounds out the top 10. Sam?
Yeah, here on the second page you see Grant Hines, Stuart Hall, Warren Pickering, David Jellens and Benjamin Smith rounding out the top 15. These are all drivers, most of which started in the middle of the field. Benjamin Smith actually started 5th. Jared Tyreman, Andrew Gilliam, Aaron Farmer, Mark Rayner and Philip Morton round out the top 20.
And then the third set of 10 go to Philip Wallace in the BMW, Jackson Freer, Jeremiah Salty Morton, TJ Brown, Martin Slavasi, Phil Gadd, and then the guys that didn't finish the laps here. It is Mark Simon, Luis Paulo Guillon, and Clint Shane Smith. Okay, 29 drivers started. We named them all. What we're going to do right now is take a short break because the race organizers have to regrid this. We'll be back in just a few minutes to see the afternoon race. Bill Soupzon and Samuel Ryman here with the Global Sim Racing Channel, bringing you the iRacing Drivers Association. This is the GT3 series, and we just got done watching the first heat, the morning heat in this round 9 triple header. Now we move on to the second heat, the afternoon heat. Still no points given out, but what's going to happen is all the drivers are going to line back up again in the order that they finished in the morning heat. And we'll do it one more time, Sam, for another 15 minutes. And if it was anything like the first round, it's going to be kind of messy. Let's hope they got their a little taste for what's in store and they can clean it up a bit.
Well, I'm going to jinx them all here, Bill, by saying I think it's going to be a cleaner race. But I have 2 reasons for thinking it's going to be a clean... Well, 3 reasons, actually. 1, the drivers have been out there and got experience. 2, I think there were some drivers who were down the field in qualifying a bit who worked their way up towards the front during the race, so they're more or less in the positions that they can race in now. But 3, the track temperature is higher now. The track probably appears a bit different for some of our viewers now because it's a lot brighter down there. A higher track temperature of 92 degrees. While that creates less grip, it makes the drivers race a bit more sensible. They race the track more than each other. That being said, Bill, these drivers are probably all going to prove me wrong, especially those who were running up top who got into trouble and know they've got to get the job done in just 9 laps here. We could still have a chaotic second heat race here.
That Italian sun floats higher in the sky, makes the shadow shorter, makes the braking points a little bit longer. We'll see how it plays out. We got about 2.5 minutes before they're going to grid up again. Remember, there's no points involved for this heat either. This is just trying to get everybody set up for that 20-minute dash for the points that's going to be coming up in the late afternoon when the sun starts to set. Track temperature should go down again.
Yeah, and this is just a 10-minute warm-up they have going on right now, and that's why you see cars spinning. They're just trying to see how far they could push it. I mean, that's what you gotta love about warm-ups sometimes, Bill, especially after you just had the race. It's like, well, in the race I wanted to take that turn in 3rd gear, I felt comfortable there, and then in warm-up you're like, what if I did take this turn in 4th gear? And that's when you see all these cars end up in the wall and they're sitting there thinking, no, 3rd gear.
Well, in full disclosure, I have never turned a lap on this track ever, but I know, Sam, I'm not sure if you actually have either in iRacing, but I know you said you've turned a lot in another sim.
Jeff Crammond's Microprose Grand Prix 3. It's a 2000 F1 game based off the 98 season. I love this little right-hander complex there. And my director told me I was going to mispronounce this. Acqua Minerali. I love that because it's almost like at least on the F1 game, you almost treat it as one turn, and it's very easy to lock up the right front throughout the whole shebang. I don't know if that's what it feels like here. We'll have to ask some of the drivers how the track felt for them after the race. We won't get to interview them after the seat race, of course. I'll be getting ready for that 30-minute event.
It's a beautiful course, so nice tree-lined course. I like the layout here. Very pretty, very picturesque course. Not a lot of places. I wonder, Sam, we haven't really talked about the difference here. I would think that since there's not a lot of straightaways, you can't really open the car up. I would think that the BMW would be happy here, as the BMW always complains about top-end speed. That doesn't really seem, there's not that top-end speed doesn't seem to be play that big a factor here.
No, it really doesn't. There's not a whole lot of turns here, not a whole lot of straights here. Even those that are straight aren't really straight. You see them curving to the left and the right again, and warm-up just finishing up right now. But, of course, let's not forget, Bill, it is open setup, so the drivers can play with their setups no matter what car they're in, and make them kind of to turns, and they do the top-end speed.
There are a few drivers we're going to keep an eye on that are going to be starting at the back of the pack. Had great qualifying runs, but had poor finish in the first heat. So we'll keep an eye on them. Let's go ahead and tell you how they're going to load up right now. Basically, it's going to be exactly how we called out the last grid. John Piesnick and Zachary Hamlin, 1-2 on the front row. Sam?
Yeah, Damien McPhee starting in third place. Richard Hampstead rallied his way up to fourth in the first heat race.
Gary Hamilton and Simon Fagel. Fagel a little bit higher than he started the last heat, up in seventh.
Yes, that looks like sixth to me.
Sixth.
It looks like Marcelo Rivera there in seventh alongside Riley Blythe.
Justin Strickland has that green McLaren up in 9th, 10th spot for Joshua Rogers.
Alright, so let's go back to the middle of the field. Some of these drivers might not finish the race in one piece, but Grant Hines and Stuart Hall will start on row 6.
Warren Pickering and David Jellings make up row 7th.
And the field is rolling, so let's do this quickly. Benjamin Smith, Jared Timon, 15th, 16th.
Andrew Gillian and Aaron Farmer the row behind them.
Mark Reiner and Philip Morton round out top 20.
Philip Wallace and Jackson Freer. Jeremiah Morton and TJ Brown go back to 24. Sam?
Yeah, then we have Martin Salvazzi, Phil Gadd, Mark Simon, Louis Paulo Gallon, and Clint Smith, proving me all wrong and making it a 29-car field for the second heat race.
They're all back, including that beautiful gold-plated Mustang that just pulls off right now. So let's keep an eye on the car that's out in front. Again, that is that multicolored McLaren. It's going to be pacing the field. He's got it. Right next to him is the car of... And in second place there is, I can't on my screen, and timing isn't telling me, that's okay. Green flag. And that is Piesnick diving him down into the first corner. Looks like, boy, look at the pile up behind him. It is really gobbling. It's really a mess. They go 2 by 2 by 2 through that first chicane. Looks like everybody gets through. Somebody goes a little bit to the inside.
Yeah, well, Hanlon got knocked off by Jeremiah Morton. That was Zachary Hanlon who started second place, and actually he gets a penalty for that. He's going very slow with a huge pack of cars. As he takes the penalty and he spins Stuart Hall, that causes a couple more cars to come off. They come back on and pile into Hanlon. We've got about 5, 6 more cars still wrecking. Philip Wallace goes off course. He got turned, so a big pile up coming out of the second chicane.
Hanlon, the biggest name involved in that one.
And that began several turns before it happened.
Pickering, you see that black and yellow machine. Benjamin Smith involved as well. There you see it all happening up in front.
Of course, the good news for these drivers is that the results to this race won't count. Meanwhile, Clint Smith is able to make it through this, but then he got taken out in an incident coming out of a turn after this, out of Tosa on the run down towards turn 8.
So let's go ahead and get a second to get you caught up here to speed as my timing and scoring is now reset after the first heat as we watch that replay one more time. Look at that slow motion shot by Joe Peak. Nice job, Joe. That's some great angles there. You see all those cars. Great overhead shot. Look at those guys going wide. There's that yellow and black machine going in there. I'm not quite sure who that is. Like Sam said, though, good news is going to be... Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, if we go back live, Simon Fiegel just had a big off from about 5th place. That drops him back. Well, he was in 4th. Now he drops to 5th behind Gary Hamilton. But he gets a cut course. Boy, you can lose time by overshooting that first chicane. And a crash behind him. Justin Strickland gets turned. Are we going to see the exact same thing this time around? That was Benjamin Smith who hit him there at the end. Oh, and Benjamin Smith is now creating a bit of an obstacle. And he gets tapped from behind by Andrew Gilliam.
Yep, and that was Joshua Rogers who originally got into Strickland that turned him. Rogers really making up some time now, moving up into 9th position. Going around and through drivers to get there.
Well, so far still, I like a circuit build, but I think there's a few drivers who don't now.
Well, honestly, one of the most dangerous parts of a series of a race is when it's the first couple laps, and what we see here is we're going to see this 3 times where they bunch them all up again. So where we usually see the things stretch out and things settle down, well, we're kind of have that issue to deal with 3 times. So that's why it's a little more messy than we probably would see in an hour race. Look at the fighting going on back here that we're covering. My goodness.
Jackson Freer and Aaron Farmer, Louis Polo Gallon, remember he was running well last race and got caught out in an incident. And he does again, TJ Brown, boy, late on the brakes for Brown. And he takes out another car too, Jackson Freer.
We're looking there at Gaillon just had some trouble. As we ride on board now with Gaillon.
TJ Brown had very heavy damage on the opening lap of the first race, so I don't know if he got to race around the other cars that much. Maybe he was called out by the closing speed going down into that left-hander.
Okay, we're at about the 11-minute mark now. If the drivers will behave, we'll go ahead and try to set the top 10 for you. Some guys are coming, some guys are going. John Peastick, he's been out in front all day. He continues to be so. Still out in front, running in first. Damian McPhee up into 2nd position right now. Gary Hamilton running in 3rd, but a close battle behind him. Marcelo Rivera looking at him, and then Richard Hamstead back there in 5th position. A nice battle going on right now as Hamstead closes up. Drop a little bit farther back, Riley Blythe, very quiet, and then here's a battle. Simon Fagel in a battle with Joshua Rogers. Joshua Rogers up to 8th now. Rounding out the top 10, Grant Hines and David Jellings.
Yeah, all the chaos we've been seeing, all these drivers in the top 10, the driver who started the furthest back was David Jellings, but only in 14th, so it's really been the midfield where most of the problems have happened in the opening laps.
I'd like to see a nice clean pass on the track. I'm not sure if I've seen one yet. Let's go back to 7th position. I think I'm about to see one because this guy's on the hunt here. It's Joshua Rogers. He's chasing Simon Fagel. Now, Fagel's our 2nd place in the points right now. Now here he comes down. This is the preferred passing spot right here. If you can get a run, look at Fagel kind of take that defensive line on the inside. Going to make it impossible to get the pass done. Going to force Roger around the outside. Not going to work. Nice job of racecraft there by Simon.
Yeah, so now you come up into the 2nd chicane, because we were trying to talk about passing zones earlier. This 2nd chicane is the Variante Villeneuve. It doesn't really lead itself to overtaking opportunities. We found out in the first 2 laps here, it does lead itself to big wrecks. And then you come into this left-hander Tosa. If you get a good run out of a previous chicane, you might be able to sneak up something on the inside here. You can't really get a good enough run out of Tosa to make a move into turn 8 at the top of a hill here. But then you have this nice run down into 9 and 10, Aqua Minerale, where you kind of have to make your move into the first right-hander here, this kink here, turn 9, because you're already beginning to slow for turn 10 at that point. And then you see this run coming out of turn 10 over to the Alta chicane. This is turns 11 and 12. This is definitely an overtaking opportunity, not for this time by though, for these drivers. And then we come to the end of the course here, And we might see something happen here as we go into Rivazza. That's turn 14, the left-hander at the bottom of the hill, but not this time by.
Samuel Ryman hoping for the GSRC bonus check for using all the corner names. Nice job. You missed one, no check for you. Let's go ahead and look at 6th position right here, because I think maybe Hampstead might be able to make a move. He's a little bit farther back on Blythe. He's been pacing him. Not going to get there this time. Hamilton, sorry, it's Richard Hampstead. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, change for 3rd. Gary, oh, no, maybe not a change for 3rd. There almost was one. Marcelo Rivera looking to the inside of Gary Hamilton.
Yeah, really we have 3 battles going on in the top couple spots. Nothing much going on. 1 and 2. They're pretty safe. You have a nice battle for 3rd. Gary Hamilton being closely chased by Marcelo Rivera. Let's stay on that one for a minute. Marcelo doing a good job here as he gives Hamilton a little hello.
Yeah, well, the problem is you're going so slow through that hairpin that you really can't get a good run coming up this short chute to turn 8.
So we'll stay on that battle because it's the closest, but there are 2 more. We don't need to go there, but the other 2 we're watching too. It's battle for 5th between Riley Blythe and Hampstead, and then we go a little farther back, Fiegel and Rogers. So for a little while, we'll focus on these top 3 battles up all within the top 8. Right now, we ride on board with Marcello.
Can't do much through this chicane here, but I'll tell you what, Marcelo was almost thinking, and Gary Hamilton makes a mistake. That might cost Marcello, actually. He abused the track limits on exit, and we've seen that a few times today, I think contribute to a slowdown penalty. Seems like Rivera got away with it, though. Oh, and the battle for 5th is side by side.
There we go, and as Blythe still holding a Hampstead, trying to go around. I imagine we might say 3 passes here by the time they get down into the first corner. We might see 3 passes for positions.
Well, these drivers have got to think big picture. They're all on track for top 10 finishes right now.
And there it is, the dive into 5th. Now that's Hampstead on the outside in that blue and orange colored Golf machine.
Oh!
Gets it done. Oh, now look what's happened. That's going to... Oh, and going off track now.
Yeah,
that was Fiegel.
There was contact between Hampstead and Blythe. He closed the door just a little too hard there, and Blythe had to back off, and that caused Fiegel to basically take evasive action and go to the gravel.
Rogers really making a move. Ducks to the inside, going to get that pass done. He's going to move up to 6th. Blythe trying to fight back, but he's going to have a hard time doing it. They're still trying. He's not giving up that spot yet.
Hamilton gets turned from 3rd. Rivera makes a move at turn 8, and now Hamilton has
watch out, boys! And he collects Hamilton. Rogers collects Hamilton.
What was that thing that was saying about taking a top 10 finish here, Bill?
Rogers was in a side-by-side battle. Hamilton was actually rolling the car off into the sand. I can't really blame a guy for when he's off the track moving the car. This is interesting. Now watch this as the battle go on behind them. We'll stay on it. Now there's the spin from Hamilton. But if you stay on it just a bit, Hamilton does a good job. He gets the car off the track. But I guess other cars were trying to get around him. I guess you're supposed to keep it locked up. What do you think, Sam? You keep the car locked up in the middle of the track and hope they get around you, I guess.
In real life, you would have the advantage of a marshal waving the yellow flag coming into that turn, and those 2 cars would have never been side by side going into the turn. I'm guessing there just wasn't a local yellow.
Oh, I imagine there might have been a local yellow there. Local yellows are kind of... Doesn't necessarily mean to slow down to these guys, as this means to keep an eye out. Something's happening up front. Well, like Sam took the words right out of it. He said the words and then it happened, where he can turn a good finish into a bad result. Took out a couple top drivers. That was some good fighting going on. So now Rivera up to 3rd position. Hampstead was able to avoid all that problems, running in 4th. Blythe still around in 5th. Fiegel up to 6th.
I think what these drivers have done for us today, Bill, is they've proven that every turn on Imola is a potential overtaking opportunity.
Yeah.
Some just work better than others.
As we ride on board with Fiegel right now. Looking ahead at Blythe, this is a battle for 5th position. They're all settling down. Maybe, Director, we can drop back real quick when you get off of this one. Go ahead and give a little camera time to Andrew Gilliam. He's made his way up into the top 10, being chased by Jared Tyerman with about 3 minutes to go.
He started 17th in this race.
Yeah, it's a nice run from him. Want a hard charger? How about a guy who started 27th and is up to 13th? Can we look at Mark Simon, running right now in 13th. He's got Warren Pickering ahead of him for 12th, and he's got about under 3 minutes to get there.
I wonder if our race leader, John Peisnick, will come into the interview booth at the end of the race and say, yeah, it was...
We go back. This is our battle for 5th going on. This is Blythe being challenged by Hampstead. Hampstead has gone forward and backward today. Hampstead in that blue and orange Golf machine. Blythe out in front in the white colored car. Watching the whole thing from the popcorn position is Simon Fagel.
Term is very appropriate today.
Oh, a nice run. I like the drive oh my goodness, he's squeezing him over. That was a great drive off the corner from Hampstead, and he's going to try to get it done on the outset. Squeezing him to the outside was Blythe. Moving him, pushing him, moving him, and now that killed Hampstead's momentum. Now he falls into the clutches of Fagel. Great battle for 4th right now.
Yeah, well, what Hampstead was trying to do there is stay alongside so that he could have the inside for the turn 9-10 complex there. But that wasn't able to work. What can he do here? Because they're probably coming up to start the final lap now. He dug to the inside, but so did Blythe. He anticipated it, hurts Blythe on the exit. He runs a bit wide.
And a guy who has joined the party is Benjamin Smith, back in 7th, if there's any trouble going on. All right, now let's see what kind of run that blue and orange machine of Hampstead can do. Look at the defensive line that Blythe is taking. Now he eases over, but now he comes back over. He's going to make Hampstead go around the wide side. They pull up side by side. They dive into the corner at 10:55. Will they come out at 12 o'clock? Hampstead trying to keep it going. They work through the chicane. Nope. Blythe able to fend him off. Hampstead still behind him. And now getting into the mix is Fagel. Fagel now being challenged. We told you they was going to take a look. Benjamin Smith trying to take a look in there. Great fighting going on.
Wonder if these drivers remember there's still another race left right now. It's a 4-car train from 4th back to 7th. It is the final lap.
And I think the slowest car out of the bunch may be the engine in the train of Riley Blythe. Here comes Hampstead again with a nice run. Blythe takes a normal corner entry in there as they work through that section. 17 seconds left to go. We're watching Peacenik here. If he's going to, I don't think he's going to have the white flag this time around, I guess. So he'll be coming. He's just working his way through 11 and 12 right now. So he just has the final 14 and 15 to work, and then we'll be done. Keep an eye on the battle for 3rd. We still have time.
Yeah, battle for 2nd as well. McPhee has it right now. Rivera might have it by the line.
We'll cover all these as we go ahead. We'll go to our leader, and then we'll cover all these guys as they come across the start-finish line. John Peacenik is going to win one more time. He wins the morning heat. He wins the afternoon heat. But those mean nothing yet. He's got to win the late afternoon heat. Here's the battle for 2nd. Damian McPhee is going to be ahead of Rivera. I think they're going to finish in that order. Drop back to the next 4-car battle. Looks like Blythe is going to get the best of Hampstead. Fagel's going to follow behind them, and rounding out that 4-car train, Benjamin Smith in 7th. Hines
it took
gets
30
8th.
minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Took 30 minutes for cooler heads to prevail here. No aggressive moves on the final lap in those two battles.
Looking for any more close battles for positions going on farther back. Maybe we can jump back and look at maybe Aaron Farmer here as he's in a little bit of a chase. Not really much going on. Farmer coming across in 16th position. Jackson Freer in 17th. Phil Gadd on the lead lap this time.
Yeah, well, Phil Gadd was 16th at the white flag, so he must have had an off on the final lap.
Let's go. We talked about that yellow and black car that I couldn't identify that was in trouble. Well, it is Philip Wallace And on my screen, he has no hood.
Yeah, he got involved in that lap 1 pile-up as Clint Smith got involved in the incident that happened after the pile-up, coming out of a following turn. He also doesn't have a hood, but comes home in 20th.
And then we'll round out the other cars that didn't finish there. Another bad race for Luis Pelaguyan. 21st, big problems for Gary Hamilton in 22nd position. Joshua Rogers was climbing through the field, going to finish 23rd. As there we see the top 10 that we've already run down. So you can go ahead, Director. We just followed most of those through. There we go, 11th through 20th. And then we'll just round out the back half here. Stuart Hall in 24th. Mark Reiner in 25th. Another big Zachary Hanlon trouble. Started in 2nd, going to finish in 26th. Justin Strickland, TJ Brown, and rounding them out, Jeremiah Salty Morden in the 29th spot. Sam, we had some big winners and some big losers in that one.
Yeah, that's essentially going to be your starting grid for the next race, for the race that counts. 30-minute finale about to come up. Now, for drivers like Zachary Hanlon starting at the back, though, I wonder if now we'll see a few drivers drop out and maybe help him out a bit, because maybe drivers who were caught in an incident in the first heat race thought, well, I can still get positions back in the second heat race, and if they got caught up in another incident, maybe they're thinking, nothing's happening today, but hopefully those drivers will prove me wrong and we'll still have a 29 car field for the main. But if we do, that means Zachary Hanlon is going to have a lot of work to do from 26th on the grid.
What we're going to do, this is the Global Sim Racing Channel. We're going to go to a short break. We're going to push the fast forward button on the solar system, let the sun set a bit. When we come back in about 10 minutes, it will move from afternoon to late afternoon, and we will have the 20-minute race for the points. So we'll be back in just a little bit, and we'll see you in a second. This is the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the iRacing Driver Association GT3 Series. This is round 9. We have already covered the morning heat, the afternoon heat, and now we are to the race for the points. The shadows have grown long again, but they're in a different direction from when we started. It is the late afternoon heat for the points, 20 minutes to decide who gets the big share of, 20 minutes to decide why we're here, actually. So they're going to regrid them up based on how we finished the last afternoon heat, and that'll be starting in about 6 minutes to go. Sam, second heat was not much different than the first one. Still pretty aggressive out there.
Yeah, I would like to apologise for the confusion. I've been leading our viewers here. It is a 20-minute final race. I've been saying it's 30 minutes. So what does that mean, Bill? We're going to have about a 10, 11 lap race, probably 11, 12 lap race around here. And like you say, we really don't know whether to expect a clean or an aggressive race here. The first two heat races have been quite destructive. But towards the end of the last heat race, basically what was happening 10 minutes ago, things were beginning to finally look like the drivers were biding their own time, getting around here patiently and cleanly. Will that happen in our 20-minute race here? We're not sure. We're going to find out when you do. But something I've noticed, Bill, the way the series begins their races, they go on a green flag. That leads to a very tight pack at the start of these races, and that's leading to problems here at Imola because you go straight into two chicanes where you can, in theory, go by side. Of course, in theory and how it actually works on the track don't always go together.
You ever go on a date with your girl to the movies, and when it's all over, you come out and you walk outside, and she says, "Boy, what a great movie," and you just hated the movie, and you say, "What movie did you watch?" I kind of think that's going to be the attitude of John Piesnick if we talk to him in the post-race interview when we talk about all the nonsense that was going on. John's had just a nice quiet run for the first 30 minutes, 15 and 15. Hasn't had any instances, been wire to wire. Everything's going well for the guy in the McLaren. The guys behind him have really been working, though. And we're going to see some. Gary Hamilton had a bad result. He's going to be starting way down the list. Keep an eye on Zachary Hanlon trying to make his way up, too. Boy, a lot of big names. Had trouble in that afternoon heat. Going to have to be starting way down. We'll see how much they can do. At least they have an extra 5 minutes to get there.
Well, there's been some beating and banning out there, that's for sure. I'm sure some of these drivers, because Gary Hamilton's back there because he got turned over in turn 8, are going to have a couple of words at the end of the day, but I guess, as the saying goes, that's similar, baby. I probably just made that up.
Yeah. Let's get a little bit loopy here.
Yeah, just finishing up another 10-minute warm-up session, and then, like I say, this 20-minute race will be on. No free repairs, but honestly, if you get caught in an incident, Bill, you're probably going to finish towards the back anyway, unless a lot of cars wreck. Then you'll be in good company back there. Probably won't see, well, we won't see any scheduled pit stops. If you're down in the pits, you've got big problems, because honestly, if you get spun, you might as well just limp it around for the rest of a 20-minute race. Track temperature has cooled off a little bit, only 89 degrees now. Not a huge difference between the three sessions, should still be some grip out there. It's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, I've talked to the drivers before on this to see if they do any tweaking of their setups, and most of them say no. They try to get a neutral setup that works for whatever they got in store of them. iRacing doing a pretty good job today of making every one of these random events. It looks like there were no storm clouds coming in. Everything pretty much stayed the same. Let's go ahead and call out the grid. One more time, it's John Piesnick is going to be out in front. Second place is going to be Damian McFay. Sam?
Marcelo Rivera and Riley Blythe round out row 2.
Richard Hampstead within striking distance in 5th position. Simon Fagel in 6th.
Benjamin Smith and Grant Hines on the 4th row. These are drivers that might drop back a bit because they qualified in the middle of the field and benefited from the carnage of the second heat race.
David Jelling and Andrew Gillian in 9th and 10th.
Jared Tyreman begins our second set of top 10 alongside him, Robin Pickering.
Mark Simon and Martin Slavasi working his way up to 14th after a slow start.
Philip Morton and Aaron Farmer on the 8th row.
Jackson Freer been spending most of his time back about 17th. That's where he'll start. Phil Gadd up to 18th.
Field is rolling. We have Philip Wallace alongside Clint Smith.
We talked about the Ford of Gary Hamilton back there in 21st, and Joshua Rogers behind him. 23rd and 24th go to Stuart Hall and Mark Reiner. Rounded out, Sam.
Yeah, Zachary Hanlon, we thought he'd start 26th, but one driver hasn't showed up, so he gets to start 25th alongside Justin Strickland, TJ Brown, and Jeremiah Morton.
Did we get all 29 back in here? It looks like we may have only 28. We're missing one. I did not hear Marcelo Rivera's name. Boy, I'm pretty good if I picked that one out just from missing it after hearing all those guys. It's pretty impressive if I was able to tell the one driver. All right, Marcelo is out there. All right. This is it, boys. They're waiting for the pace car has pulled off. I'm going to say it because this is for the points. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows because the horses are out of the barn, and soon they'll be out of the barn. I'm telling you, the horses are out of the barn. They're being very patient, and now the horses are out of the barn, and John Beesnick dives it down into the first corner, and he's going to take it one more time. He's going to lead it into corner one. Car upside down in the back. Who could that be?
Well, let's see if all the leaders get through here. Okay, they've done the first chicane, but it was the second chicane where the pile-up took place last time. Oh, David Drellins has got spun.
McPhee in second, Hampstead in third.
Oh, and they make contact.
Little bump from Blythe back there. Those guys were going at it the last heat. They're back at it again. Benjamin Smith. There's Fagel on the outside. Grant Hines.
Oh, Gary Hamilton is one of the cars in the pits with damage. Philip Wallace is really beat up, so I'm guessing he was upside down in the BMW, but Gary Hamilton was involved.
Looking at it on the replay, Sam, what do you see?
Back live, I'll just give you an update. Richard Hampstead was involved in an incident with Riley Blythe, and they've just dropped to the back.
Hampstead gets clipped by another car going by. Blythe got him, just going by again.
Wow, so Gary Hamilton and Richard Hampstead and Marcelo Rivera just got spun by Aaron Farmer.
We saw that one live.
And now they come around to complete lap one in a very different order than what they started it. John Peisnick still leads though, he doesn't know what's going on back there.
Again, Peisnick having a nice race out in front. Well out in front by a second over McFay. McFay having a nice run also.
Remember when I said Benjamin Smith and Simon Figo were starting back there and will probably drop back a little bit? They're battling for third right now. Benjamin Smith just dropped to fourth.
They're side by side. Oh, actually now they're not. Sorry, there we go. Fagel up to third, Benjamin in fourth.
And Richard Hampstead, he must have too much damage. He is bringing his car into the pits from that spin he had on the first lap.
One thing I didn't talk about in the standings is that all the drivers up top had run out of dropped race insurance. So basically, whatever Hampstead scores today, that's what's going to count in the standings, and that standings are shrinking. So this is another opportunity for Fagel right now, running in fourth position, and Fagel actually makes a move in fourth. Hines in fifth, and we were looking there at Smith and McVie.
Yeah. Update on Phil Gadd fans. He got up to 11th at the end of the first lap, but spun at the second chicane.
Looking at fifth place, Hines. As we look up ahead at Fagel and Smith. Hines having a nice run, little by little. I marked it on my chart, but I really lost place of it. I think gradually he has worked his way up, and there's a slowdown penalty for Smith. So Smith loses that position, drops down to fifth now. I think he's also going to have to give it up to Gilliam, and don't be surprised if Pickering doesn't get him around as well. Wow,
there's a huge pack of cars from... it's Phil Phil Gadder's in the pits. He had been running in the top 10, but of course I talked about him spinning. Huge back of cars behind David Tyman in 9th place. They run back to about 19th. There's been some exciting battles going on there. And Hanlin, who started this race in 25th, in 2 laps is up to 11. Yeah, actually 10th now. And
let's go back to 9th. There he goes. Yeah, there's Hanlon gets around Tyman.
Well, Tyman is the driver who's kind of been pulling a Trilly train behind him a bit, but he's doing what he needs to do, and that's hold on in front of him. Justin Strickland makes a move ahead of Jackson Freer there. Oh, and a spin at the back. TJ Brown got tapped by Jeremiah Morton.
As we watch on the replay, I'll just tell you that Smith is in a nice battle with Freer right now, trying to get that. And if you see the replay on the screen right now,
they've sorted themselves out with Freer still in front, but I think Smith is thinking about the position. We'll go back to live action here. So yeah, this battle around 10th place is really catching our eye right now, because honestly the drivers in front of him have kind of gotten single file and spread out. They're still running quite close together behind Andrew Gilliam in 5th place, Warren Pickering in 6th. And as I say that, Benjamin Smith might be about to make a move on Pickering here as they go down into the first chicane. He's on the inside, that's the desired line, but can he get it wound down enough? No, he cannot. He doesn't have any brake pedals, and Smith goes spinning around in the gravel, and that's going to cost him a lot of time.
Yeah, Benjamin was having a great run. Gets it back out on the track. Let's see if he can get it out cleanly. Oh, watch out! Boy, splitting it was that McLaren of Justin Strickland, able just to fit in between with Jared Tyman. Nice job from Justin.
I think it must be a big pull.
Oh, and there's this been Pickering in an accident. Pickering got caught up with Rogers. Oh, and Hines was in it too. Hines got caught. Hines went into him, and then it got Rogers and Pickering. Those guys were running inside the top 10.
Yeah, we'll catch that at the end of the replay here. I think there's something about the pool around here, Bill. I mean, I know these drivers don't go that fast around here, but I think a slipstream just really messes with the braking points, because we've seen some drivers just completely overshoot turns today.
And here you see there's a little bit of contact. Okay, back to live. Let's see if we can run down the top 10, as we're not quite to the halfway mark yet. One more time, John Piesnick out in front, having a quiet race the entire time. 2nd place, it's a ways back, but it's Damian McPhee.
He's had a good race.
A little bit farther back, Simon Fagel, but none of those guys really in a battle. The good news for Fagel is, though, remember, he was 2nd in the points, and with Hampstead having trouble, more ground made up. Andrew Gilliam very quietly working his way up into the top 5. Zachary Hanlon had that trouble in the 2nd heat. My goodness, he is closing in on Gilliam. We'll watch that as Hanlon's really charging up now into 5th. Pickering, Strickland's got that green McLaren into 7th. Tyerman into 8th. Rounding out the top 10, Philip Morton. And look at this, Clint Smith up into 10th, but really being challenged. Why don't we stay on this a little bit, Director? Smith and Freer in a battle with Rayner. Now they're back being charged by another Smith. That's Benjamin Smith. Smith on the outside of Rayner. Smith gets loose, is going to lose all momentum. Slavasi looking to get in there. Some good fighting going on back there for that final spot in the top 10.
You're right to call it a fight, Bill. Every single battle has been a fight that we've seen today. I'm trying to work out how the heck Zachary Hanlon has picked off 20 spots in 5 laps.
We're right on board with Hanlon now, and he wants to make it 21 as he is closing up on Gilliam.
I'd almost be tempted to tell our director to rewind the start of the race here and just watch Hanlon's first 5 laps again.
Well, he got a bonus there. There was some serious attrition going on, so that's probably took care of about 5 or 6. But Hanlon really trying to find a way around Gilliam. Now, Gilliam is new to the series. Doesn't know Hanlon's reputation that I seem to put on him. But once again, if Hanlon can't find room, he's just not scared to make some room. Let's see if he gets to the inside here. Look at Gilliam trying to protect the inside. Gonna force Hanlon to the outside. Hanlon could go all the way to the outside, give Gilliam all the room he needs, but no need for that. I'll just outbrake you into the corner. I think that's how you pick up all those spots. You learn where the braking zones are. And Hanlon takes up another spot into 4th.
Yeah, but now he's got a problem called he is 8 seconds behind the next car for position, Simon Fiegel, but he does have about half a race to go.
I think he should be able to go home tonight and sleep well, knowing that he got a 4th after some of the disaster he had. Only 1 heat to go.
What happened to Dravamire Morton? He was running in 15th. I don't know if we could go back about 20 seconds. He's now in 19th without a hood.
Yeah, well, he got tangled up. It was David Jellings got in behind him. David Jellings, for lack of a better euphemism, punted him into the wall. And I apologize. I've done enough IRT work to know that things are never quite the way you see them at the first time, but I don't know how else to call this one. That's Morton in front, Jellings behind.
Meanwhile, when we go back to live action here, let's pick up a battle for 11th between Benjamin Smith and Jackson Freer. Smith just took it from Freer. They were actually side by side going into the Alta chicane.
Oh, salty. That was a tough hit. Now we go back to live. Let's see if we can pick up what Sam was talking about.
You see Benjamin Smith has moved up into 11th place here, so now Smith will begin running down Smith for 10th position.
I'm not using first names. I'm just going to say Smith. That way I know I get it right.
I think Smith will come out on top in this battle, but we'll wait and see.
This is your best battle that's close for any of the positions up front. Everything else is pretty much settled down. We've reached the halfway mark now. Nobody really within striking distance of anybody up inside the top 9. Oh, there's a car spinning though. That's Jared Tyreman spun.
Yeah, and that's a shame because he had been doing quite a good job at not necessarily even racing defensively, but just keeping cars behind him, and now he's just lost 7 positions with 1 mistake.
Yeah, he was running in 8th and has fallen way back. Did a good job of doing some donuts and getting the car going back straight, not getting in anybody's way. So everybody else
McPhee's gone off. Damien McPhee has been running the second all race long. He had an off earlier this lap because he's lost that to Simon Fiegel.
See if we can find that, at least on my... We think we found it, yep. Aqua Minerale, that's turns like 9 and 10. A couple right-handers there. He just got loose, put it in the sand. He loses a position. Got the car back out in front of Hanlon, though. But what it does mean is now Hanlon, who really didn't have a chance of getting to anybody, now has a real chance of running down McPhee, except for McPhee has some pretty good pace under him.
All right, here come the Smiths.
Good band. Here we go. Clint up in front, Benjamin behind. Clint the veteran, Benjamin the newcomer, and boy, it's pretty well done. Clint just gets out of the way. Clint saying, I would like to get my top 10. So he's going to let that one happen. Benjamin up into 9th. Clint looking to get a top 10. He would be happy with that one. Clint, yeah, well, racing on a new team.
Clint would have just dropped back into 11th position had Tyreman not spun the previous lap. But because Tyreman spun, he gets held on to 10th place.
Clint now racing for Dynamic Sim Racing. So we'll see if he's going to... Go ahead.
Yeah, 3-way battle for 11th shaping up here. Mark Rayner actually is not involved too much, but Jackson Fair is just ahead of Martin Silvazzi for 12th.
And Clint Smith out in front trying to stay ahead of that mess. Mark Rayner beginning to run in Smith, so we'll keep an eye on that. He's closing in, and I think he's going to get a shot at a top 10 here pretty soon as Rayner's starting to run away from Freer. Silvazzi been running most of this day morning, afternoon, and late afternoon, back in about 13th position.
I wonder how fun this is for our leaders running single file right now. I think this racetrack puts on some pretty impressive racing, some pretty aggressive racing. I wonder how much it is fun to just go out there and go for a Sunday cruise. We're going to have to ask John Peisnick that, because that's what he's been doing. Meanwhile, Richard Hampstead just came out of a pits. His car looks okay now, but that's because he was in the pits 15 minutes for repairs. He is now down in 23rd place.
Oh, I never like it when a point leader comes out with only 5 minutes left and several laps down. Always makes me feel there might be some payback. Not that Hampstead would ever do anything like that. Let's quickly look up here. Here's a battle for 6th. I've been keeping an eye on this. Is Warren Pickering quietly up in 6th, but he's being ran down by Justin Strickland in that green McLaren. Both of these guys can still are within shouting distance of Andrew Gilliam in 5th. But it's nice to see we have a nice mixtures of makeup there. A couple McLarens doing real well.
No, that's a downhill section there, that Aqua Minerale turn. I almost wonder if the loss of traction you get from going downhill there, if that's how it got its name, because it feels like the track is wet. You have less grip going downhill. They spill mineral water all over.
That's exactly, Sam, you're right. That's exactly how that got its name.
I'll call it Deer Park for the rest of the race.
Our director gets very upset when we start to give out false information. Could be true. He doesn't know how it got there. As we watch this battle, Pickering, look at that green McLaren start to close. Here it comes. Here we go, boys and girls. Oh my goodness, Pickering closes the door to the McLaren. Not done yet. Fighting back. Pickering trying to make that car as wide as he can. A great run from Strickland outside. He's going to get that job done now. Strickland, no, I take it back. Pickering fights back. Strickland really gets off the gas.
Justin Strickland giving us a good demonstration here of all the potential overtaking opportunities here at Imola. That's not one of them.
Trying to make it work around the outside. Looking for some type of drive off of there. Again, he has, look at that McLaren. With that speed of that McLaren, really doing good work. And Pickering can't get it going. So they work now through the final 14 and 15. Oh no, they're not there. Where are they here? They're going through. This is through 9 and 10. Aqua Minerale. Okay.
That was a 5th overtaking opportunity there, but by the time they got to it, Strickland came out so poorly trying to make those moves on the outside at the top of a hill work that really hurt his chances of fighting for position. Until now, here we go again.
Pickering taking that defensive line, making him go around the outside of the important corners. That McLaren's not going to be able to do it. He tries a little over-under, not any hope of it there. Let's see if he can. This is where I think he's going to get a good run here, Sam. I think he has enough time. But again, watch Pickering drift that car over to the inside. He doesn't have to do it yet, but here he goes. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. Well,
that's going to be the end of that.
I think what's happening here is he saw Philip Morton closing in on them. The more he tried to battle, realised maybe it wasn't worth holding on to. Because what was going on there is Pickering was just racing defensively at every single overtaking opportunity, and eventually Justin Strickland was going to get the run on the exit of a turn and pass him at some point. The problem was, the longer they kept doing that, Philip Morton and actually Benjamin Smith, right on the back of Philip Morton, were closing in on them.
With just under 2 minutes, we can watch this battle now. Here's Morton, a good run from Benjamin Smith. Morton trying to make that car wide, putting it right down the middle. Smith trying to get to the inside. He does get in there, but he has to back out because he has such a shallow entrance into the corner. He had to give room to let Morton get in there. Morton's hanging on to 8th place.
Meanwhile, John Peasnick is about to go through the final couple of turns and he'll be taking the white flag here.
So that means the guys we are watching will have 2 times around to get this sorted out. It's a nice, really kind of a 4-car battle. There's Strickland, Pickering, then there's a little bit back to Morden and Benjamin Smith.
Not sure you'll see much of Strickland anymore. If Porton and Smith begin battling each other, Pickering won't have to worry about them, but they can run Pickering down.
We'll stay on this. We'll keep an eye on the leader right now, but there's Morden running in 8th position. Now they work their way down the straight. Let's see what Morden does if he eases that car over to driver left, screen right. Actually, I guess, yeah, it will be right on your screen right now as we're on board with Morden. He does take that defensive line. It's gonna make Smith go to the outside, but Smith doesn't force the issue. He knows he has 1 more lap to get it done. Looking to go over under, can't get it done through this chicane. Now looking to dip inside through 5 and 6. Smith nowhere to go. Your leader still working the back half of the track. We have a ways to go before we need to go to him.
Yeah, he just exited Aqua Minerale, so now he is going to go through the Alta Chicane and then finish up his Wednesday afternoon drive, I suppose.
We can stay on this 8th place battle as they both make contact and they both push themselves off the track. Both with horrible X's coming in from the beach, trying to get the job done to Smith. He doesn't have the momentum to do it.
Yeah, here comes Peasnick out of a final turn right now.
Coming down, I've said it once, I've said it twice, I'll say it 3 times. The winner of the heat. But this one is for the points. It is John Peasnick. 2nd place goes to Simon Fagel. My goodness, that's going to be a great points day for him. Zachary Hanlon in 3rd. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, let's go back to this battle for 8th. It's not open yet. It's not over yet. Benjamin Smith trying every single way to get around Philip Morton. And he gets late on the brakes. So it's going to help him try and do a crossover. Doesn't work.
Not sure he's going to have enough time to do it now, especially now that he almost puts it in the wall. And in fact, it's going to cost him another position as there goes Clint Smith around and picks up 9th. Benjamin Smith does everything he can.
And Riley Blythe just turned Jackson Freer for 12th in the final turn. Jackson is going to lose another position to Grant Hines and 1 to David Drellins.
Freer's going to come across, looks like about 15th position. Slavasi gets 16th. See if we can pick up any more battles from cars on the lead lap. Nope.
Zachary Hanlon was doing the burnout in the little run between the 2 chicanes there, and who can blame him? He finished 3rd after starting 25th.
Mark Simon brings it across the start-finish line right now in 20th, your final car on the lead lap. All right, we're going to take our final break, just a short one. We're going to come back, we'll run down the entire standings, do driver interviews, and then close up shop. This is the Global Sim Racing Channel. You're watching the iRacing Drivers Association round number 9 from Imola. Be back in just a few. Bill Soups on, Samuel Ryman, and Joe Peak in the van. The Global Sim Racing team bringing you the iRacing Drivers Association. This is a GT3 series, round number 8 from Imola. We saw 3 heats today. The final one, the 20-minute for the points. Let's run down the finishing order for you right now. He won the first heat, he won the second heat, and he won the third heat. Never seeing a car in his front windshield the whole time. John Pasnick wins it for the big points. Simon Fagel going to have a great points race for him. Second place, going to get second place points, and that's going to be really important in the chase for the championship with the point leader, Green Eggs and Hampstead, having trouble. Zachary Hanlon, a great run, 25th to 3rd. We're going to have an interesting interview from him. Damian McPhee, a new driver into the series, finished 4th up front the whole day. Andrew Gilliam, a very quiet 5th place. Justin Strickland got that green McLaren up to 6th. Very exciting race from him. Warren Pickering and Philip Morden, 7th and 8th. A pair of Smiths round out the top 10. Clint ahead of Benjamin. Sam?
Yeah, these drivers all back here in the middle of the field definitely all had interesting races. Mark Reiner finished in 11th despite starting 24th. Alternatively, the 3 cars behind him, Riley Blythe, Grant Hines and David Jellins, all started in the top 10, so I can't imagine they're too thrilled with their finishes there. Rounding out the top 15 is Jackson Fair. He was in 12th heading into the final turn, but got a little help from behind. Martin Salvazzi finishes in 16th. TJ Brown got involved in heavy incidents in the 2 heat races, kept it on the lead lap though in the main event, finished in 17th, ahead of Jared Tyman, who had a nice top 10 going in the main until he had a late spin. Trevor Meyer Morton and Mark Simon not only round out our top 20, but our only cars on the lead lap. Now we get down to the lapped cars, Bill.
And there are some big names down here in the lap card. Starting off with Richard Green Eggs and Hampstead, your overall point leader, going to finish in 21st, 7 laps down. Joshua Rogers and Phil God right behind him. Marcelo Rivera, another fast driver, going to finish in the double dozen position. Aaron Farmer in the quarter century mark. Philip Wallace in the BMW, didn't have a good last heat in 26th. We get to the driver in the Ford. He earned his way up into the top 5, sitting 4th in the points. I don't know if he's going to be there after this race. 27th points for Gary Hamilton. And then the final car in the final heat was Stuart Hall. Okay, we're going to let Samuel Ryman talk to our race winner in his beautiful multicolored McLaren, and that would be John Pesnick, who is on a roll. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, John, how was the track out there? It seems you got to have a nice Sunday drive.
How are you guys? Yeah, mate, the track was pretty much amazing tonight for me. All 3 sessions were pretty similar weather-wise. The first one was a little bit cooler than the others. And yeah, the conditions were pretty good, and yeah, the car behaved well and just it did what it was told, and it all worked out well, so I'm a very happy boy.
Yeah, you seem to be racing in a different universe out there today. You were racing in a very clean race where there wasn't a lot of chaos going on. We'll tell you right now before you watch your broadcast, it wasn't exactly like that for the rest of your competitors out there. What do you think there was about the track that was leading to some action behind you?
Well, just the track for starters. It's one of my favourites, so I put in a lot of effort. So it was that really made it a little bit better for me. But in regards to what went on behind, it's a fast but tight circuit, if that makes sense. So there's always some hard braking zones, so there's always going to be a fair bit of fighting around them. And the track's pretty narrow as well, so when people are trying to take some overtakes, there's generally can be a bit of contact if people aren't giving the fair share of room. So yeah, from what I can see, it was a little bit messy for a fair few people, which was a bit unfortunate.
However, you were out there all front, all race long. Who was your biggest threat? I mean, you had 3 different people, I think, finishing in 2nd position in the 2 heat races and the main event. Were there any that were closing in on you and made you realise you needed to step it up a little bit? Oh,
well, they're all threats, mate. To be honest, I was pretty worried and nervous just about turn 1 on all 3 races. I knew I had decent race pace, but it was just making sure I get through turn 1 smooth, calm and collective and no issues. I'm friends with Damien McPhee, and I was a bit worried about him in regards to his pace because I knew he's a very quick driver, and obviously Richard didn't have the best of qualifying sessions, so I knew he was going to be coming up through the field. And of course Zach obviously starting on the front row with us, very quick guy, so they're all, to be honest mate, there's about 5 or 6 drivers that are all around the same pace and quick and pretty much on the same pace, so got to monitor them all.
Now, I'm looking at you in the points here. This isn't actually a bad points day for you, because you've worked your way up into third in the points before today, if I'm not mistaken. This surely can't hurt your chances of moving up a little bit more?
Yeah, no, it worked out pretty good. Obviously with Richard, again, having a little bit of a bad run tonight. Yeah, it's worked out pretty good. I think I was third before this, and I think I'll probably stay in third because Simon had a pretty good run as well. But it'll move, the gap closing up to Richard was probably halved again, so that's pretty good, and there's still a long way to go, so it's pretty much back in the ball game now, so pretty happy after having those incidents early on in the season and having that race off, so fingers crossed everything goes to plan and I can keep clawing it back and get the Element Motorsports McLaren up there.
Alright, well congratulations on your wins, pluralised there, your 3 victories here today, John, and we'll let you go and celebrate them.
Cheers, thank you very much.
There you have it, John Piesnik, your race winner today. Let's go ahead and talk to our second place finisher. We'll see if we can grab him real quick, and that is, bring him down, here we go, we got it, that's Simon Fagel. Simon, I got news for you, buddy. Welcome to the race for the championship.
That's right. It was a good day out championship-wise, and obviously getting second place is great on any day really. But I don't think pretty much anybody had an answer for Joe's pace today, except for perhaps Zach. But obviously with his issue in the second race, he was put back, and kind of as Clint put it, Mr. Consistent. I've just tried to keep that mantra throughout the whole time, and with Richard having a poor race, unfortunately for him, means it's certainly in with a shot.
Oh, I can't worry. My heart doesn't bleed too much for Hampstead. He has enough wins on him. He needs a little misfortune coming his way. How was your day? I think you got caught up in a little excitement. Other than that, you seem to be okay. A little trouble early on?
Yeah, I think in every single race I copped a slow down at some point quite early on, which then would put me back in the field. So, it was a bit of a battle. The first race for me was easily the hardest. And right the way through qualifying, felt it was an awful qualifying session. Just something with the car just didn't feel right. Felt very disconnected for whatever reason. But then race 2 and race 3 didn't even make a change to the car, but the car was just instantly better, or I felt better. So it was a challenge. I had a nervous start to the day as well, where I just couldn't even connect into the server, so that always makes things difficult, but thankfully it held on. But to finish up the way it did was really, really good. I think it was a reward for pushing hard throughout the day and just grinding it out. But very, very happy to get second.
Well, Simon, congratulations on second. Now you're out of any dropped insurance there, so any no-show you get coming up is going to be a 0. Your schedule going to let you. Do you think you can be able to do 100% the way out here?
I think there's a pretty good shot. I think it was unlucky the one that I couldn't do. Was just had a personal engagement that clashed as things happen. But cool. Hopefully I'll be back and be putting the Logitech G car right up there.
All right, good luck the rest of the way, and we have a battle. Simon Fagel, your second place finisher today, and a new driver in the chase for the championship. Now we're going to talk to the guy. We're going to let Sam talk to him. Up from 25th to 3rd. I don't know how that is possible to do in a 20-minute race. Up 22 spots. Your third place finisher, Zachary Hanlon. Sam?
Yeah, Zachary, it seemed a lot of drivers today were having a difficulty pulling off one move without making contact. How did you pull off 22 without making any at all?
Well, I think it had a lot to do with the fact that there were people kind of doing that, I found that just a lot of people just kind of fell out of the way of me, which was pretty good. But at the very beginning of the race, I actually had to come to almost a complete stop on the straight because some cars got ahead of me, and I had to zigzag all over the place and try and get out of the way. So it was pretty crazy, but I really kind of can't believe that I got up to third. Even I think that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, now, heading into the race, there's a reason you started 25th. Would you be speaking to us in a different mood had that second heat race been the finale?
Probably. I mean, I've raced with Damien a lot before, and we kind of bump each other a bit. So I guess, you know, I wasn't too unhappy with it. I saw what he was doing. So I mean, that's really what caused it, because then I had to get the off track and slow down, and then I bumped into Stuart, which was a bit clumsy. But you know, you don't dwell on stuff like that too much, because you know, we race these guys week in, week out. We don't want too much bad blood. So yeah, we just keep it pretty cool and move on.
That's good to hear. What did you think of this format? And the way it was working on this track? I mean, you know, maybe if you did a long race at Imola, it would seem a bit calmer, but it seems that these 3 sprint races at a narrow racing course created quite a lot of excitement.
Yeah, well, there's so many places that you can just lose so much time or gain so much time really, really easily, or just really easily. You can lose it or gain it either way. So you find that a lot of people will lose it where people gain it, and you get a lot of people catching up to each other in really weird spots. So you do find that the battles kind of do happen, and it is difficult to pass. So people often slow up, and that allows more people to catch on, and then there are more battles and people make mistakes. So yeah, it is pretty crazy the way it works. But I think a longer race, I've done longer races here. I think I prefer the super sprint format here. I think the super sprint format's pretty good, even though I always seem to have to come from the back. I generally enjoy them quite a lot, and I think this track was actually quite good for it.
Well, that's good to hear from a driver who certainly got bit by the racing in one of those heat races. But at the end of the day, Zachary, it was a fantastic drive, 25th to 3rd. And do you think you could ever do something like that again?
I've had a couple of pretty good comebacks. I think this one's going to have to take the cake, so I won't bank on it, that's for sure.
All right, well, we'll let you go and celebrate your podium finisher, Zachary. Congratulations once again, and we'll see you around.
Thanks a lot, guys, for the great broadcast, and look forward to being up here again with you guys.
Zachary Hanlon, your 3rd place finisher today. And now our final interview. We want to quickly bring in a newcomer here. I think is a wild card. He got dealt into the series, Andrew Gilliam. Gilliam, congratulations on the top 5 today. Is this your first race in the series, or I have my notes wrong?
Yeah, buddy, thanks for having me this evening. Yeah, first ever race in this series. Couldn't be happier.
How'd you find out about it?
A friend in my team, Lewis Gallen, referred me to it, so thought I'd join it, have a go, and it turned out really fun.
It was pretty hectic. Did you get caught up in any of that? You ran up front for most of the way, I think in the top 10 pretty much the whole way, if I can read my notes right. Is that correct?
Yeah, buddy, first race, unfortunately, second last corner, did a pass on someone, and the guy I was passing got his rear wheel on the grass and turned into me, but that only put me back to 17th, and it was forwards from there.
Well, it's good to have you in here now. If you get the invite, do you think you want to stay with it the rest of the way? Pick up for next season and then get a taste of what's going on? You're going to be able to finish out a few more races?
Hell yeah, buddy. This is awesome.
All right. Outstanding. Well, we look forward to you. Real quick before I let you go, how long you been iRacing?
Just a year and a half, buddy.
You guys... it's so annoying. Why don't I ever hear somebody say I've been doing it for 7 years and I'm finally getting good at it? That's killing me. All right. Good luck to you. We hope to see you better, Andrew, and we hope to see you up in the top 5 again as the races go on.
Yeah, thank you very much, buddy. Thank you for the awesome series and opportunity to race.
All right, Andrew. Congratulations. Top place finisher. I'm tired of these guys telling me they've been racing for a week and they're good at it. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for us. Joe, are we going to look at the... I guess we're done. We're not going to look at that incident. Oh, we can. We're going to bring that up real quick. I believe this is the... Is this the Smith and Smith where they went off in the beach? Is that what we're looking at here? Okay, we're going to bring... We weren't able to show you this. It was close to the end of the race. Watch this pass as they go around... One of the strangest passes as I believe this is Smith and Smith, and the one car gets way off into the grass and almost is able to complete the pass. So they come alongside. I think that's Clint in front, and I believe that is Benjamin behind trying to make the pass. So we watched this through here. We weren't able to cover it because it was so exciting here at the end of the race, and this should be coming up. I believe it's this corner right here. No, they're going to get a little screen time as we're getting. It's this corner coming up. We hear from the director. Okay, now remember that's, I believe, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Now they go side by side. Now they make contact. Now, watch. That's Benjamin taking this wide right through the beach. Comes back on side by side with Smith again. And he almost gets it done. Then he has to tuck back in behind. And that's how they came across the start-finish line. We wanted to show that one because it was pretty darn exciting. Okay, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us from Italy, from Australia, or from the United States, wherever you are, whatever your job is. If you're a race driver, if you're living the sim universe, or if you're actually a commentator. We'd like to thank everybody at the iRacing Driver Association for contracting with GSRC and organizing this series. I know you have a lot of choices when you fly. Thanks for flying GSRC. We'd also like to thank the sponsors, the Screwed Gamers, Kart Action Media, and Zanardi Course Australia. Thanks to the company's equipment and software that you see on the screen now that we use on our broadcast. The original music that you've heard on today's broadcast is thanks to Eric Echolm and Casey Lalonde. To see the screen, to how to contact each of them. Thanks to my mic mate, Samuel Ryman, our director, Joe Peak, Dougie Beard for his camera locations. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, your best bet is GlobalSimRacingChannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. The next race for the iRacing Drivers Association is next week. That's September 14th when the GT3 series visits, I don't know where they're going actually, but it's going to be in 2 weeks. Now what you want to do is come back in 1 week and we're going to be right here again at Imola for what is the sister series of this one, and that is the Formula Renault series. So you want to come back to that one. That's a great series. There'll be round 2 right here. It's going to follow up each race. These guys race first, and then that series follows them up. For information about all the upcoming events, and if you want to find out where this series is going in 2 weeks, go to GlobalSimRacingChannel.com. And now that the housekeeping is out of the way and nobody else is listening to me, it's time for us to all have fun storming the castle. So until next time, for everybody at GSRC, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.